Hello and welcome to another edition of Souq Business Landscape, where we bring you stories that matter from Africa and beyond. I am Olumide Sokoya, and with me I have
John Rogers Chooks. Thank you for coming in and welcoming me once again.
You're welcome. And,
my name is Bayo Olaoye. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be with you guys for today's session.
Thank you very much. All right, so we begin with the discovery of the illegal refinery in Anambra State, where Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, Anambra State Command, uncovered a massive illegal artisanal refinery and an unauthorized petrol station at White Junction in Kwele Azunaka in Oyi local government area. The discovery was made during a joint operation with the Nigerian Army and Navy, acting on credible intelligence. And from there, we move on to the proposed Nigeria First policy aimed at mandating government agencies to patronize locally made goods and services, which has now ignited a wave of debate within the business and policy circles. Critics warn that the current economic output and industrial capacity may not support such a policy. And on the foreign scene, U.S. President Donald Trump has announced plans to sign a significant executive order aimed at slashing prescription drugs and pharmaceutical prices in the United States. Trump has also criticized the long-standing issue of excessively high drug prices in America compared to other nations. These are some of the top stories right here on Souq Business Landscape. Now, over to you, Chooks. Which of the stories do you think is the most interesting?
Definitely the one that concerns us. The, in quote, unauthorized petrol stations and illegal refineries.
You know, I think to feel like we do not really have the actual amount or figure of how many refineries illegal refineries we have in Nigeria. It seems we keep discovering these illegal refineries every year in, year out. And what is the problem?
And that pervades, that situation or that trend pervades throughout the whole petroleum industry. Right now, I am not an expert on oil and gas, but Nigeria or the NNPC has not told us how many barrels of oil we sell every day. How much do we make from oil? It's as bad as that. So the data is missing, there's misinformation, there's disinformation, and there's no information at all. Now, it's a circus. You keep hearing about this illegal refineries, illegal whatever. And nothing is being done. If the national, whatever it is, the security people
NSCDC
had intelligence before now, I'm talking about enforcement. I think enforcement is very slack in the petroleum industry. Tumpolo, and at the time they said it was Gani Adams that was manning our pipelines. Now they say it's Tumpolo.
Yes.
Between Tumpolo and Gani Adams, I don't see the difference. So I put the fault boldly on the doorstep of the NNPC.
Chooks, what do you think?
Are we gracing over this to come back to it? Or
Yes,
just okay. For Baba took us to where we don't know where. He took us to an area that most people shy away from, and that's good. For me, I like towing the other route. Why term them illegal?
They are illegal because they do not have license.
Now, the question we should ask, are they distilling?
Of course they are.
Are they really distilling products that are being used? If we tell ourselves some basic truth, there are some areas in this country that for over 4 or 5 years, they bought their petroleum products from these people that were cracking stuff. So what advantage and disadvantage can these people portend to us? That is where I'm looking at. Not just the legality or the illegality about it.
All right, so we'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll dive into the stories proper. Stay with us. Welcome back to Souq Business Landscape. The Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, Anambra State Command, has uncovered a massive illegal artisanal refinery an unauthorized petrol station at Y Junction in Kwele, Azunaka in Oyi local government area. Now, the discovery was made during a joint operation with the Nigerian Army and Navy acting on credible intelligence. One suspect was arrested while others escaped. And items seized included 49 kegs of suspected adulterated diesel, 4 drums of petrol, and a pumping machine. State Commandant Maku Olatunde reiterated the Corps' commitment to eradicating illegal petroleum operations across the state, warning offenders to desist or face prosecution. He praised the cooperation with the Army and Navy, emphasizing that such synergy strengthens the fight against economic sabotage. Now, earlier on, when we went on a break, you were asking a very vital question. Is there crude oil in Anambra State? I think that's the first bone of contention we need to really trash. What do you think?
What do I think? Commercial quantity we've not been told. But Anambra still lies within that belt.
Okay.
That Imo River down to River Niger crosses all the way through Imo State, Abia State, heading towards Port Harcourt. So it's possible that there is crude somewhere. But commercial quantity, we don't know. Or they've not told us yet.
Now, what I'm even worried about is the quality, because if there's an illegal refinery in Anambra State, they must have sent it out to different states. So the quality of what it is that is being sent out is what I'm even worried about. And we all know adulterated petrol destroys or spoils cars.
Okay, and let's look at it from this other angle. See, most times we look at things from the negative side of it. So it's very easy to put a stamp, illegality, illegality, illegality. Let me go back. Years back, before these phones became this sleek and beautiful, 90% of Nigerians were buying Chinese phones. Those phones I could use as pressing iron, they had cooker, you could use them as, when they ring here, you know that somebody's phone is ringing. They allowed people to just create things. Now, there is nothing difficult in refining. It's just distillation. So now, why can't our own government standardize it? If these boys have been cooking, they've been cooking for a very long time. Very, very long time. Like I said before, there are regions in this country they've been buying that particular product for a very long time. So why can't we look at possible ways of telling, okay, good, cook with this standard. If it's environmental impact, don't do this, don't do that. Are you going to be able to stop them from cooking? These are things we should also look at. By the time you stop one locality, another locality is cooking somewhere. We should look for how can we make it profit us and profit the people, and not just a big man business. Because the people that are being caught right now are the people down the ladder. The big people doing the cooking. To God be the glory.
All right.
Chooks, what I want to emphasize is that there's corruption in that sector. And there's complicity with there's allegation that there is complicity between armed forces personnel and the indigenes there. Now, that is slackness. That is an indictment of our security forces. That's an indictment of the NNPC itself. It's an indictment of those who are supposed, the contractors, security contractors, who maintain these pipelines. It's an indictment because no refinery is working in Nigeria.
We're saying no refinery, I mean government refineries?
Government refineries, the government refineries are, I mean, we keep on getting stories about the resuscitation of this, the resuscitation of that. The fact is that we have to come clean on the table. The NNPC has to come clean. How do we sanitize?
Do you think this is NNPC's fault? This illegal refinery is as a result of NNPC's?
Well, I may not be as knowledgeable as you would expect. Well, basically, that is what it means. That the NNPC, Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation, I think part of its mandate is to ensure that things like this don't happen and that we have an efficient and reliable monitoring of our pipelines.
You know, but if NNPC does not have, we are even told that they have a blending refinery, or if I'm correct, if they don't have a working refinery, how would they be able to regulate illegal refineries when they do not even have, I mean, it's like someone who doesn't know how to drive, trying to regulate a driver. How is that even possible?
Then we put it back to the presidency. because the president is the Minister of Petroleum Resources.
Well, we don't have one.
We don't have one, so it's assumed that it's the presidency. So the presidency should now sit down and curtail this trend. If we cannot convert them into viable, sustainable outlets for the sale of crude oil, then we should be able to enforce that there are no leakages. We should be able to enforce that security personnel don't collaborate and cooperate with criminals in stealing our oil. Then there should be transparency within the NNPC, entire NNPC rank and file.
One of the major bans NNPC and other authorities are looking at is crude. Okay, they say crude theft, crude in the hands of unauthorized people, crude being processed in the hands of unauthorized people. Okay, good. Now, if we remove that crude theft or how they get it, we don't know whether they are the ones that are exploring, digging, mining, pushing it out. We don't know until NNPC or other agencies come to tell us. This question still asks, these people have been doing this. They have been distilling this product. They have been cooking and getting PMS and AGO, and for gas, maybe they run away from that. They just flay it. Kerosene in some places. Now, to what percentage is this standardized? To what percentage is this good? I will say this again. Some regions have used this product for years. So at this point in time, is it not time we look at ourselves and say, okay, good, let's be able to get these people and set them up properly. Instead of you just using firewood and some drums and some water coolant and some good firing, look for how to bunch and distill better. That way we will have product. Let's tell ourselves some basic truth. This is job for some people.
True.
It is their locality. If you block this end today, you don't know that community as well as they do. And they are the ones, it doesn't matter how much we spend on trying to protect the pipelines. If the community says this pipeline is not going to be safe, it will not be safe. Let's tell ourselves some basic truth. Because all it takes is one person to stagger into one place one day and open one particular place and walk away. So we need all these people on board. Community A, good and fine. This is what we can do. This is what you can do. Play your part, we'll play our part. Let's not look at each other as a criminal. This pipeline is going through your community. It should not be open for whatever reason. If you people are good in doing this, how can we come together and work modalities to make you work and make us work?
All right, thank you very much for that. So we'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll take more stories. Stay with us. Welcome back to Souq Business Landscape. I also have two other guests. I have Oyinpreye and also Dr. Idahosa. So earlier on, Oyinpreye, we were discussing about the illegal refinery that was discovered by Joint Military Operations, the NSCDC, the Nigerian Navy, and military. They discovered an illegal refinery in Anambra State, Oyi local government to be precise. And Souq and I were just discussing. He was talking about how to legalize this refinery. And I was saying, what is the quality of what is being distilled out of this illegal refinery? What's your take?
Okay, first of all, I remember myself, Souq, including Dr. Idahosa, and we've entertained this conversation before. And somehow, whenever I begin to think that whenever the security agencies, the joint forces, and with the several nomenclature they go by, whenever they want to prove a point, or maybe like tell the government of the day that we are doing something tangible and we are working, there will be a report of a discovery of an illegal refinery somewhere in the Niger Delta or in Bayelsa State or in the creek. It's a good thing. We are not saying that they shouldn't do that or they should not publicize it whenever they discover one. That it has becoming, it's sounding like a broken record. Now, let me take you back to the former Labour leader and the current senator sitting in the Nigerian Senate, Adams Oshomole, who is from Edo State. And they were having a panel and a meeting whereby he was speaking extensively about raw materials and the discovery of oil and how the government has put security checks in place in the Niger Delta to make sure that illegal oil stealing and illegal oil refining is an activity that is completely brought to stop. Take us to Zamfara State or take us to the northern part of the country, most especially in Kogi State. I just saw a video clip about Kogi State, somewhere where it exists, where only few people have access to that place. You could see several SUVs parked in the compound. You could see a plane, a runway, an airstrip, right in the middle of nowhere in Kogi State. And it's not far-fetched. Why? Because Kogi State, if experts are talking to you, they are telling you that Kogi State houses most of Nigeria's raw materials, solid minerals in Kogi State. So the rich and the elite who have access knowledge, who have privy knowledge and access to these things, put facilities in place that they trade in these things. And when they trade in, does it come to the coffers of the government? I bet you no. Because these are illegal private dealings. We want to say, let the government, enough of this discovery of illegal refineries and all of that. Obasanjo, in his own term, wanted to bring in these boys into this frame of things of government in doing biddings. And of course, he succeeded in doing one, which is where Mr. Governor Ekpumpolo Tompolo is now in charge of securing the pipelines in the Niger Delta himself, Tantita Oil and Tantita Security and others. Can we replicate same so that we do not have Nigerians who are partnering foreigners to cut away Nigeria's gold, Nigeria's uranium, Nigeria's silver, and other solid minerals in the country? Because as they go, they leave without we adding value to it, and they come back in trinkets and in gold, which we buy. And that is not good for business.
Thank you.
So enough of this.
Dr. Daosa, I think till now we can all agree that we still do not know how much barrels per day is being produced in Nigeria. And for us to be able to even nip this oil illegal refinery in the bud, we need to actually know how much we're producing, how much is Nigeria making per day. Do you think this particularly falls on the NNPC, or should we say the whole entire president, the president of the country? Who is to blame?
Well, I don't think we don't know how much of crude oil we drill in a day. If we say that, it means that we're not sincere with ourselves. So I think what we should be talking about is how much of what is produced that is declared. There are two conversations. Are we declaring everything that is produced? Or there are some part of that is drilled daily, that is set aside from some specific stakeholders that are not captured by the data of government. So I don't think we are daft as a people not to know how much of the crude that we drill. It's just like you have, even in terms of our tax. And some people say, oh, some people don't pay tax. Government don't know where. Government knows where every taxpayer is. And they visit every site. But the question is that most of these taxes that are collected really don't get to the coffers of government. Because you have some local agents who are stakeholders that take some fraction of what is collected and then remit what they feel should be what gets to government. So that's a conversation that we must look at. And this is because of, again, the moral ineptitude in our place. But coming to talk about the issue of, and I think it's a misnomer to even call them in the first place illegal refineries, because they are not refinery in the first place. And I think that must be isolated. A lot of people are doing bunkering with steel crude, and they have drums inside the bush that they are using boiling this, and they sell a keg of diesel to people, and they can't even get to the cleanest part of petrol at the end of the day because they're just using ordinary fire to boil this crude, and then they sift it out like palm oil. So this is a problem that has come to stay with us because, like they say, you see, if you have sugar here now, you have invited ants. The day, of course, oil was discovered in Anambra State, over 50 billion barrels of oil on the underground in Anambra State, with capacity to produce 55,000 barrels daily, 15 oil wells in Anambra State. So you know that these activities are going to happen. And why are these activities happening? It's because government has not been, over time, to actually create an environment where people feel that they belong to the government. And I think that is the bigger problem and the bigger picture. Probably part of the thing that Adam Soshomole was speaking to. So oil is found in my place. You know, there is this popular kind of conclusion that was reached during the Abacha days, that when Tom Polo and Asari Dokubo, they were all moved to go do 1 million man march for Abacha in Abuja. And they saw the miracles that the oil wealth was doing that actually pushed them to the creek. That narrative has been there for quite a while. And that's because the people who are supposed to be benefiting royalty from this resource, they don't actually get. And so it's like the case of the children of Eli in the Bible. They call him Hophni and Phinehas. So it's either you give us or we take it by force. And I think government will do well to see how they can begin to give the due to society, because these people suffer a lot. And then, of course, you are drilling this oil, the lands are becoming unfertile, the flaring of the oil and the rest of it is making agricultural difficult in those environments, and so the people are paying indirectly for it. So government must look for a way to compensate. And if this compensation is coming regularly from government to these people, then the people can be the real adequate security against this vandalism and illegal kind of refining that is going on in the space. But I don't differ away from what Priya said. You see, sometimes when we get people apprehended, is that maybe the settlement didn't happen very well. And it's not that we really don't know that these things have been there all this while.
All right, so you said calling it an illegal refinery is not the right word. And Chooks here is of the opinion that what would it take for the federal government to support these small refineries? Do you agree with his opinion?
Well, I don't think they have the capacity. That's a big problem. You see, it's not
Capacity to refine for...
to refine, yeah, for local consumption, they don't think. You see, but again, government has actually made those ways.
Cooking is cooking.
Wait, government has made those ways happen.
Okay.
Take, for example, in Delta State alone, which is just a stone throw away from Anambra State. You have over 4 or 5 modular license.
Can a poor man apply for a license?
You see, everybody cannot see the fact that people are doing what is illegal.
Can a community apply for a license?
No, but the truth of the matter is that they may not be able to apply for it. But you see, the issue is this. Anybody can take a needle and choke on your body and draw out blood.
Yes,
does it make him a doctor?
Let's also know that, yes.
It doesn't make him a doctor, but
Diesel-
the process of
Diesel
making
and
this guy...
PMS is just fractional distillation.
No, just wait.
It's not difficult.
Yeah, these guys we're talking about, they don't understand what fractional distillation is. What they're simply doing is that they get access to crude. They have drums. They have drums, these drums. They pour the crude. Just the way they boil palm oil, and they pour it and they sieve it. The other one, they throw it away, and which, of course, are destroying and damaging the environment. That is not refining. Because there is so much inside the crude that needs to be sieved for other uses. These are all waste products because we don't have that technology. The government has established, what do they call it? University for Petroleum, where these people can actually learn if they want to. I've known a couple of boys who were doing bunkering. They don't have what it takes.
Okay.
All they are simply doing is that they can break into where this thing is coming from and take it and go to boil, and then of course they sieve what they can sieve, and the other one they throw it away, which is a waste of natural asset. Now, even if you say, for example, government is going to declare what they called amnesty in that area and say, come, we want to harness you, I can bet you, Chooks, that these same boys, they will not come out. The reason is simple. Because they don't want to earn small money. That's the problem. So it's not as if that efforts are not being made. There were times that NDDC had to ask for amnesty, and a lot of them were packed together and some taken overseas to even be trained on this art. Many of them ran away because they don't want to do something that is legal, because that takes a process to bring money to the table. This one that they can do, and tomorrow they get money, make more sense to them. But that's a danger to the environment.
I 100% agree with you on environmental issues.
The impact on the environment and the people that lives in there matters a great deal.
But let's also get this. Distilling crude is not rocket science.
Is it rocket science?
It's not. You don't need a built Dangote refinery to distill crude. Dangote is doing that because of the amount and quantity and product he's trying to get. If I'm not trying to justify them, I don't know if you understand. I'm not trying to justify them.
No. You are oversimplifying this thing.
Because it is not
because
difficult.
You don't have the technology.
You don't need that technology, sir. Please, you don't. The truth of the matter is, during the Civil War, was crude not distilled in Biafra?
The same process they are doing.
Hold on.
See, look at it.
No, let's be basic. It is not the white man's paper or white man's distillation that gives you the product of a refinery.
No.
The technical,
you are very wrong.
The technical know-how is more important.
They don't have it.
They do.
They don't have it.
They definitely do.
They don't.
They don't have the technology?
They don't have the technology.
They
don't have the expertise.
Have they been selling PMS for a while?
They don't sell PMS.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
They don't sell PMS.
Yes, they do.
No.
I would like to come in
but they
here.
cannot even get to PMS because they cannot do PMS.
I think I can come in here. During, I think, the Buhari's administration, PMS was imported to this country, and it was adulterated. And the institutions who had the license to import PMS into the country that should be vetted by different institutions who have that relevant authority vetted these products, and they brought them into the country, and it was adulterated. A lot of engines of Nigerian car owners went off.
Yes.
In fact, it was so viral, going for a report to do that, that no heads roll. If these Nigerians from the creek have been distilling and been refining crude, and we've not had that kind of danger or we've not had that kind of disaster that was nationwide, then I think they are doing a good job compared to the one that was imported by the authorities during that time.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying to you.
So if we did
These
that...
guys don't do petrol. They don't deal petrol. They can't get to that boiling point of petrol. They're using ordinary fire. See, leave this conversation.
Doctor, do you know why I said that?
Yes.
Because I am from that place. People talk to me.
They don't do petrol.
They do.
No.
They do.
They don't do petrol.
People talk to me
from
Delta State. People talk, even the Biafra that Chooks referred to,
yes,
where this saying of the Biafrans, some of the Biafrans who who flew an airplane from Nigeria to one other African country. I think you are well familiar with the story as well. They engineered the whole process, including the fuel that was used to fuel that plane. And when they landed in their destination, they were arrested. And the question was that we don't think you people have the technical know-how, the technology, or the knowledge to be able to fly a plane, let alone refuel or what do you call it, distilled fuel to get to that level where you could have jet fuel to fly this plane. I think these technologies, whichever way these boys are doing it, they've been doing it for quite a while.
You see the argument that you guys make that look quite simplistic. Probably we were not all grown up to have seen what happened. Did you ever imagine the role of F, an all-French company, in Nigerian Civil War? Did you realize their part they play in that Civil War?
Let's leave.
No.
Let's leave the Civil War and dwell on the technology.
Yes, it's the thing we're talking about. But I'm telling you that technology wasn't there. But what I'm saying to you is simple. See, because we are making arguments and making it look as if it's simplistic. If these things are possible, what we are saying now, if these things are possible,
okay,
this thing you are talking about, refining, is as simple as you think it is. We will not be studying it in the university. We will not be looking for experts. We are here.
We are looking for experts because we have decided to give our brain a level and said, no, it's the white man that will tell us.
No, that is not true.
It is the truth.
It's not the truth.
We are looking for experts because we don't believe that the next black man is good enough to get it done.
No.
We are looking for experts because at a particular point in time, a particular region in this country preferred to go and get expatriates than employing his brothers from the south or his brothers from the west. It's open there. It's on the national dailies. We are still depending on experts because the white man has conditioned us over time that we are not good enough.
These have nothing to do with. It has nothing to do with the white man.
Okay.
It's just everything to do with your overrating of yourself.
No.
And that is
All right,
the
so
truth. You see, because there are
this
three little things you can think about.
Okay.
Small things. Small things we can think about. Not even the advanced science of petrol refining.
It's not advanced science.
It is.
It's not.
It is.
It's not.
Even the University of Port Harcourt.
It's not advanced.
Even the University of Port Harcourt had at one time said.
Can I ask a question?
Don't ask a question. Yes, let me finish.
How do they cook kai kai in your village, sir?
How do they
I have to call it kai kai so that you understand. How do they cook kai kai in your village?
The same process. But you need to go to Paris and see how wine are made.
Those are two different. They make.
And then, no. See, take this easy. Go and check it. How do they cook kai? They boil the natural palm wine.
Fermented palm wine.
They boil it in water.
Okay.
They boil it on the fire.
Okay.
It doesn't require anything.
Good.
And then they sift it, and then you start to drink it. Now those things.
They don't just boil. They boil, and the vapor of alcohol that is coming is cooled and now drops into another container. It's the same fractional distillation. Now for crude is more volatile.
See.
So
see the day. This thing we're talking about. You see, because
our argument is that the government
government
should look at them with a different light.
Because they don't even have a face in the first place. It's not. They don't have a face.
Because you have termed them illegal.
No.
For how many years?
It is not true.
You keep saying they are illegal.
In my community in Edo State, we've lost some brothers to this trade.
Definitely.
We lost them to this trade. And you go and see the havoc they are doing. It's not because they have the technology. What I'm saying to you is that don't overrate yourself on things you don't have. You see, they just said.
Have we lost people?
My son studying chemistry can talk about fractional distillation. It cannot translate into refining of petrol.
Because the son
was
not taught well.
You just heard that.
Because the son was not taught well. I did not go to a school that would teach him well.
Yes, agreed. He didn't go to a good school. No problem about that. But what I'm saying to you is that you who is talking about fractional distillation, if they give you crude right now, you will not know what to do with it. And that is same with people. What I'm saying to you is that people are just exposing the life of their fellow citizens for their selfish interest. These guys are hidden in the bush and they are destroying the environment and they're doing illegal things.
So just a
and you're saying that government should recognize them.
One more thing. The first man that landed on the moon, the technology that took him to the moon is not up to this phone.
All right. So, Krumale, let me.
So why have you not go to the moon since that time?
I'm not talking about me. I'm just telling.
No, I'm talking about you now.
Let's be clear so that we know that
Because we have not brought the money here.
it's not that sophistication.
It is.
All right, so Krumale,
Yes.
coming to you now.
Yes.
It is.
How can the government, now we have illegal refinery, how can the government step in this time around so that if it's by way of support or education, like Prof. and Dr. Idahosa is saying, how can we encourage more refineries? Because that's the goal. More refineries, fuel in the economy, the price drops.
Okay.
How can we get
to be candid? We have to look at it from both sides and weigh it. Now, what I would like to make this point to let Doctor know that we are not supporting illegal activities.
Thank you.
What we are calling for is that, I know Doctor will say some of these boys will not want to submit themselves to authorities. That part is also true. So the thing is, government should go in on these boys. You must have, there's a process for you to lay yourself down and to make sure that you become not only good to you, to society, and to all of humanity, and point out the direction. And I'm sorry, the government just have to continue doing that. Even if some of them, I don't think 100 of them submitted themselves to government, they wanted to be trained in this project or in this trade, and 100 of them ran away. As many as subject themselves, as many as the government can retain back in the system to make sure that whatever technology they've brought to the table to be able to do whatever they do at this level must be harnessed, so that they do not just come out or end up being a liability or get to a point where they are a liability to society or they are a liability to the country. That is what the government needs to look at. Now, Chooks was asking a very important question. Can the poor man apply for a modular refinery license? No, he cannot. Can the community do that? No. There was a time I had suggested at times with that number that, look, our refineries are almost moribund. That was then, even before anything started coming up that we're picking up. What's wrong with the Delta State governor or the Delta State government in approaching the federal government for these? Can you give this to me?
Give us the license.
No, not the license. Give me the refinery. Because government was equally mooting the idea of selling these refineries. Of course, Nigerians are going to come out and say, no, we don't want our natural or our national assets sold. Can the Delta State government come out? Because to say, I'm going to take over it, if we are really deregulating the system, let me have a refinery that belongs to Delta. Can we say the River State government, the Anambra State government, if we have refineries or if they can build for themselves? Of course, it's right there in their states. By way of regulatory activities, by way of statute, they should have access. If illegal refiners, as they are called, we know they carry out, they go break up the pipeline to steal. But the government should be able to have a Delta State government or any of the governments from the South, an oil producing state, should be able to have access to it so they can operate their own refinery. If the government is looking at meeting the target, now it has moved from 1.5 or to 2 million, the target was 2.05 million, now it's 2.5 million. Can we attain that?
Yeah, but you see, talking about what government can do, you see, there are a whole lot of things that we talk about that can be quite very, very terrible as Nigerians. And I think this is what is getting us into it. We should be able to say crime is a crime, no matter who does it. No matter what excuse that the person has to commit an illegality, poverty cannot be the explanation. Because it's not only Nigeria people are poor. It's not only Nigeria there are crude. This thing don't happen in other countries. So when there is crime, and you seek to defend that, look, people have a right to commit crime, then you can begin to think in your head whether we are right as a people. This is a criminal act. And what people should be putting emphasis on is that government agency should not collaborate, cooperate with people who does these illicit acts. They should fish them out from whatever hole that they are and clean the system, because the society at large is paying hugely for this. Even what's his name? Ansari Dokubo recently cried out in Port Harcourt the detrimental effect of these people on the environment.
Of which people?
The same people that are not looking for government.
But they are not the only ones. The government itself, by way of gas flaring, contributes.
They've done worse.
So they've done
Yeah,
worse.
what he was saying is that the
Oil spillage has done worse.
leave the oil spillage.
All right, let's
but you
quickly
see, the
move
oil
on to the
spillage
next
is
topic.
much more because of these insidious activities of these criminals.
All right.
And so we should be able to call them criminals.
Just one. We are not in support of criminality in any way. We are not. All what we are saying is, government, look at these people. Whether you call it amnesty, like he's suggesting, or whatever means, get them involved, get them working. Because let's always tell ourselves some basic facts. If they are not working, they will continue. And if we want to emulate other countries, if oil is seen in my village, it belongs to my village. But
Not
it's
in every country.
the major ones we are emulating.
No.
It should be like that.
It's not like
That, I think that's a topic for another
Because
day.
Uganda country, for example,
Doctor,
they
we have-
that happened in the US, but US is not
Let's
the
move
only
on to
oil.
the
There's oil
next
in
topic.
Russia, there's oil in Kuwait,
We are
there's oil in Qatar,
We are
there's oil in
emulating US.
No,
So
we
if
are
oil is-
not
All right.
Don't
Let's move on to the
arguments.
next. So let's move on to the next topic. We have a whole lot, two more topics to cover. This one has to do with the Buy Nigeria First policy, which was proposed some weeks back. Now, it's a very interesting topic. It says here, Nigerian government agencies are to prioritize locally made goods and services. Now, this has sparked debate among business and policy experts. Now, supporters believe that this first policy, Buy Nigeria First policy, will boost the economy. It will create jobs and encourage industrial growth, while critics says that this current challenges like poor infrastructure, high cost, and limited capacity may undermine the policy's success and affect service delivery. Let me start with Krumale. Now, critics are saying that we do not have the resources to actually create an enabling environment whereby we will be able to produce locally manufactured goods in Nigeria. Do you think this is possible? And how can the government bridge the gap? Because they are the ones that are saying, okay, let's buy Nigeria. Is there an enabling environment for this?
Okay, critics are saying there is no enabling environment, infrastructure-wise, and the responsibility for infrastructure provision or making the enabling environment or ecosystem available it's on the shoulder of the government of the day. Buy Nigeria First. It's a conversation that we've had before, and I remember asking lots of questions considered to be rhetorical. Recently, why Nigerians are high up against Oluwakemi Badenoch for our stance that, look, we are going to get criminals out of this country. We are going to make sure we tighten all the loopholes of the immigration law and immigration system. And she named quite a number of things that the lawyer spoke about this morning, was trying to highlight, and Nigerians were bashing her. And my question is, look, leave her alone. She's not trying to prevent Nigerians from coming over to that place. It is a system, and she mentioned quite some of the things that, look, this is a system that works. And she would not want that system to be, infiltrated or to be adulterated, that you're coming out of the country, you're bringing the lawlessness that holds sway in wherever you're coming from, and you want to come and make it the norm in the UK, and that will not stand as far as she's concerned as the leader of the Conservative Party. It stops at the buck of the government. You want us to buy Nigeria first? There are some of the projects, monumental projects in this current administration that did not go to Nigerian companies. Even before the reiteration of this law, it didn't go to Nigerian companies, it went to foreign companies. How many of the local companies, as far as building roads is concerned in this country? I know we want to bring up the argument of, do Nigerian companies, do they have the wherewithal, do they have the technology to build? The Singapore that we spoke about, they didn't have that technology before now. And some of the companies that built the infrastructure in those companies, I don't think they did it forever till currently as we speak. No. There was a change and an indirect way of handing over technology to the people of that country. Or probably Nigerian government should be radical enough to bring in some of these things that we purchase from abroad, which we all like machineries, into Nigeria. Let's give it out to some of these our universities. Let the universities, through research and development, develop these things. The way they teach their students in the university. If we are going to do that, the government itself needs to show example by first of all, patronizing made in Nigerian products. We spoke extensively about the young, I don't want to call him a young man because I don't know how old he is, that manufacture cars in Nigeria. It's products. If we are, by 2027, there's going to be an election again. And people are going to come into the Senate, in the House of Reps. We are going to buy cars for them. Are they made in Nigeria? No. Do we have people who can do it in Nigeria? Yes. Are we going to support the made in Nigerian product government by showing example? You should. Because if you're not, I think you're just talking without action.
All right,
and
so
it will lead us nowhere.
Souq, coming to you, we know that, or let me not say we know, but there's this idea that Nigerians have a thirst for foreign goods. If you go to a market, they will tell you, this bag of rice is so amount, this bag of rice is 30,000, this one is 40,000. And if you ask, they will tell you, the 40,000 is foreign. And Nigerians, somehow, some of them, a good amount of them always want to go for that because they believe, maybe the belief is that the Nigerian one is counterfeit or low in standard. Let me use that word, low in standard. So how can we reframe our mindset? If we're going to be patronizing locally made, how can Nigerians themselves reframe our mindset? That means all of us probably will not be wearing suits, if to start with.
Doc will come with his chief tights. Yes, the truth is this: no pain, no gain. We have over-westernized ourselves. Now, the truth is also this: is a market. And those that are producing and selling to us, they study not just the policy, they study the people, they study the market, they study your taste. And I can bet you that once this policy was read out, they were also preparing their comeback. I can 100% bet you on that. For this to work, we have to bear the pain. We definitely have to bear the pain, and that means every one of us. If we have to say to the borders, let's short on this particular goods, or let's tariff on this particular goods, or let our people lose the taste they have on this particular goods, let's see if ours can get better, then we'll have to bear the pain. It's not going to be rosy. Let me give you an example. Everybody's buying Tata today. Tata was a no-go area. Even in India, the best they could do there were tractors. Everybody's buying Kia today. If they dash to Kia some years back, you will laugh. I still remember very well when Kia was 1 million for Picanto, and you buy one and get one free. I still remember very well in this country. People were not buying. But look at over time, the quality has changed. Same thing with electronics. But it takes people that will say, it's our own, we patronize it. But it also has to come from the top. You can't tell me not to go buy foreign rice, whereas you on the other side, you're doing the opposite. So if we all say as a people, let's bear the pain and grow our economy, then it will work.
All right, Doctor, coming to you. We all remembered when the debate about buying cars for the Senate sparked a whole lot of reactions. SUV vehicles to be purchased for most of our senators and all that. So how can, because I mean, we all have said it that it must start from the top. How can the federal government lead by example? Whatever they are procuring, these SUVs, these entertainment, housing allowance and all, how can they lead by example? By patronizing locally, and not just patronizing, because we know that when it comes to procurement, they also have their brothers and sisters who would come and the contract will be awarded to them. How can we also follow due process?
I'm a very pragmatic person, and I follow my pragmatism. You see, all these theses that we are putting on the table, we will see them work at a point of implementation. Some years ago, on the TV, the Minister of Agriculture during the Jonathan regime came out and said, now Nigeria will be eating bread made from gari cassava. And my mother-in-law, who was an illiterate, was sitting down by my side. And he asked me a very simple question that up to today, I have not been able to answer. The question was that, the government, have they made their farm where the cassava is meant to come from? And I said, I don't think. I said, but you go to the village now, there's no cassava. So where are they going to see the cassava to make bread? She's an absolute illiterate. She didn't go to school. She can't speak English. But I thought such a policy was like a boost for the farmer. But it was not. Because the government has not studied the environment to actually know what the constraints are before that policy was written. Some people sit down in a cozy environment and they are writing policy for the people who are living in slums. They don't work. Things don't work that way. Yes, Nigerian first policy is good. That is, we have things that we are doing very well, and we can invest in those things and see how that the policy that is designed by government is not just to write it on paper, and there are actions that are also supporting some of all these things. Now, I think Chooks need to go find out from Korea what happened before Kia got to where it was. The volume of investment that was coming from government into production to perfect that technology. He needs to go to Singapore and see how did they grow over here? Who were they relying on to be able to get to where they are? We have the United Arab Emirates, which is a model. Everybody wants to be in the UAE. UAE don't produce anything, but they are just market for everything. And it has not stopped them from developing or becoming a better people. In short, as a matter of fact, there's no Nigeria that have the quality of life an Emirati will have. So the question is, what is this really value that we are looking up to? Is a question to ask in the first place. A friend of mine, God bless her soul, is dead now. There was a day we had this argument on that. Lord Jonathan said to me, you know what? I'm going to buy a Nigerian-made Jeep. I won't drive any Jeep made by Toyota or anything. And he invested in one. They brought it until he died. He couldn't drive it past one place. The path, even to a place, it was a major problem. It was like buying a new one. So he abandoned the car and went back to the Tokumbo he said he was not going to use before. You see, we can say a lot of things and say yes, but you see, you have to grow through stages and processes. China we are talking about today, up to today, Chinese government is still subsidizing production in China with a lot of money. And that was why last year you find that the whole of Europe and America were hugely against China, that they are over-subsidizing their factory. There's a whole lot of investment in research and development. Recently, Tim Cook was arguing that they don't go to China because the labor is cheap, but they go there because they have an army
infrastructure.
Science.
Who can produce, how did they describe it? Not just cheap.
Machine tools.
Yes, machine tools. Engineers, that they are more in China. That in America, you can gather them and put them in one room. In China, every stadium can be filled of people who have that capacity because the system has invested in some of these things. We have not gotten to that point.
Okay.
I was talking to somebody yesterday. We have our children who are doing technical education, who are studying chemical engineering, studying chemistry, physics. They don't have places to even do IT in the first place, to even learn the trade, which is a starting point. So you send your child to school and say, this guy is going to be studying petroleum engineering. And he finished all his year, he has not been to a refining environment to even know how these things work. We have children who have graduated as computer engineers that they have never opened a laptop before. So these are the things that we need to start to invest in first and foremost before we start to think about having to consume the things you want. I can tell you, Mr. Krumale, if a Nigerian table is put here and a Turkish table is put here, and you were to, they didn't tell you where any one of them come from, you won't miss word before you choose the one that's coming from Turkey.
Okay. So this is one thing I want to say. Doc spoke about the process of growth that Singapore and some other clients enjoy before they came to where they are today, when he was talking about Tata and making references. This innocent guy, I've seen his vehicles drive on the road. I'm sure the one that Doc was talking about that could not move from, I don't know who manufactured that one. If we give that one time too, maybe it will. Do you remember that when the banks were going under during the years of Jonathan and Lamido, Sanusi Lamido was the M of affairs in the Central Bank of Nigeria, how he came to the rescue of the banks. Now Nigeria, the nation is bleeding. We are in need of manufacturing hubs, we're in need of manufacturers. Are there people who cannot manufacture in the country? No, we have some of them who are doing that. Can the government come, can there be a policy for these people, for them to generate? Can we emulate the China that we talked about? The US is complaining that, look, you are over-subsidizing. The US does not have any right to dictate to China
what it wants,
how they should subsidize production in their country. Can we emulate such? Because in the administration of Buhari, about 52, if not more, items, Buhari shut Nigerian borders to it and put them on a watch list that these products should not come into Nigeria. The current administration removed that ban.
The reason is simple.
No, that way there is no tenable reason.
Some of your people now who are now forming shadow governments, they all took those government loans from Buhari and never planted a grain of rice. Never.
At this point in time, I need your voice to be higher. you must get themselves.
All these big boys that we are thinking about, because the whole idea was that government put money on the ground so that we can plant rice and then we don't need to import it.
Billions.
Billions. They took
rice is just one of it. Rice is just one of it.
But just use that one as your test case. This money was made available. These people who are now,
tomato paste was also part of it.
those people now,
Tomato paste was part of it.
They took the loan.
Grandizing themselves as now people who understand how government should work, and they are forming parallel government and all this. They took this money. They took it. The loan. Today we didn't see grain of rice from their bank.
Whose responsibility is it to get back this money from these people who took this loan?
You see,
this is another question. So the government cannot give excuse that look, we made an environment for these things to thrive.
What it is that you have to understand, and I say this on a daily basis, it's easy for us to sit down here and
it's easy for the Chinese government. It's easy for the Singaporean government.
This is the point. I make this clear on Friday on this table. The place of morality in the transformation of society, where you have people who you can vouch for, that when they say SYZ, and you're actually looking at SYZ. And we know how to, you see, the cheapest work in Nigeria is blackmail. And people know how to hire people to blackmail others and change narrative. This is the environment we all live in. And this is the greatest challenge that we all need to deal with. What I'm saying simply is that it's not as if government has not been putting money out there. All those money we talk for Empower, they were all released. So whether it actually empower anybody is a different ball game altogether. And this is because the elite go ahead every other person to take advantage of the thing that is supposed to be for the commonwealth of everybody. And because all of us don't have the clothes to get to the public square, our voices are not heard. This is a problem the society is facing. So government is investing hugely. Now, when government invests hugely and they say, okay, this thing you didn't do well, they say, oh, it's because now you have changed to opposition. It's witch hunting. So we turn the narratives.
Now, move on to the last story for the day. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has announced to sign the executive order aimed at drastically reducing prescription prices in the United States by 30 to 80%, now citing unfair burden on American patients who pay significantly more than those in other countries. Now, President Trump blames pharmaceutical companies for inflating prices under the guise of research costs. Now, the order will implement a most favored nations policy, ensuring that Americans pay the lowest global rates for medications. Trump claims the move will save trillions and deliver long-sought reforms through Republican action. Let me start with you, Krumale. I don't always like making comparisons with United States and America, but then again, we should have a model that we are trying to emulate. Looking at the cost of drugs in Nigeria, it is, but I am a witness. I remember last week I went to get some drugs. I had to tell the pharmacy that, look, this is the amount I have. Look for something within this budget. He gave me a budget of like 15,000, and I told him, look for something of like 10,000. And he said, okay, he would. This is what we are facing in Nigeria. How can, let's say, yes, let's say, how can the Nigerian government emulate this particular thing? Krumale.
You're looking at me.
Oh. No, how can Nigeria emulate this?
Yes.
We only
bold
move. Power and strength to make policies that the government itself cannot keep. When the current administration was sworn into office, we did not get any of such, of what Donald Trump is doing. What we got was subsidy is gone. That's what we got, without adequate plans being made. And the benefit on Nigeria, they told us that the reason why we are removing subsidy, the reason why we are taking away what you are enjoying from you is so that you can enjoy. All right? So now, well, that means we are supposed to be paying.
Are you trying to confuse me?
No, that is the logic behind it. So now we are supposed to be paying.
Suffer now and enjoy later.
That is his trade.
So
Suffer now and enjoy later.
So now we are. Now, we took away the food from you because we want to give you more food. And since then, the tables of Nigerians are empty. See, there were times I spoke with some civil servants, and they themselves
When you're talking about this food, are you talking about the drug?
No. When I talk about food, I'm talking about, okay, I see the word subsidy as food.
Okay,
Then
can
because
we bring us back to the drug matter?
Okay, yes. I'm coming back to the drug. So the thing is, in Donald Trump, when he was look at that, because I read that, and look at the reasons that he gave that. Because I remember that in the eye of the storm during COVID-19, it was that even at war with some of the big pharmaceuticals. Donald Trump.
Yes.
I remember him pushing some narrative that the pharmacy, in fact, it was
even during COVID-19.
Yes, he was calling out anti-Fauci and all of.
Yes.
So if we are going to,
and he was right.
Well. That's another debate.
Now, in this, if we are fond of making comparisons with the United States, which is good because within the concept of comparative administration, we should be able to do that and to make sure we take the good part that they do. So what policy are we looking at or putting in place or making proclamations that will work for the good of Nigerians and that will not be that will not be compromised in any form? It looks like anything that comes out from the government that is supposed to be for the good of Nigeria or for the good of the populace, it looks like there is excuse. The government will always give excuse why it cannot work out fine. And why it, yes, of course, why it cannot work out fine. Even the student loan, which is a very, very good initiative by this administration, because while he was campaigning for office, he mentioned it. He mentioned it. No, because I'm not just only talking about medication now, because I've been visiting the hospitals these days, and the bills to buy medication has gone to thousands. 30,000 around, and I'm looking at them the way they are just telling you the medicine. No, the most expensive one that you are going to get that should have some amount of subsidy from the government pharmacy. Those ones are not available in the government pharmacy. It is the one that is being sold for 1,500 naira, and that's the one that you have in government pharmacy, and they give to you and they say, take, go and get this yourself. By the time you go to the pharmacy across the road and you present it to them, they're telling you this one is 10,000 naira, this one is 10,700 naira, and by the time they keep on mentioning all the medication, you calculate your bill and you wonder, this is not a good time to fall sick. Please.
There is never a good time.
So when the government makes policies for Nigerians, we should not give excuse when it starts going south. We should not give excuse. We should stand up. I wanted to make a reference point to the civil service. Someone who worked in the civil service told me that it's not that the government does not release money for these medications that needs to be bought and needs to be subsidized and sold in a subsidized way to Nigerians. But it's that the medical directors or the PAMSECs and some of these people occupying position in the civil service will scuttle, Doc is smiling profusely, they will scuttle the process. I know you want to say this is what I've been telling you about. It's not the doctor's fault. It's not the governor's fault.
Governor's fault.
So whose responsibility do we have? Was it the Abia state governor? There was this state governor from the southeastern part of the country that went to visit some of these health centers where they were cutting away all the things he procured to be taken to public hospitals. And there are private vans there that are cutting them away. He went there unannounced, and he caught them red-handed in the process, cutting away that. Now, that's a governor who did that. Now, let's imagine the things that happened in the previous administration before this governor came into office and how they've scuttled the process. So the EFCC, the ICPC, they should extend their dragnets. And it should go into the civil service, it should go into these ministries. Because if the government does not tell them to do that, the buck will stop on its table. And there is no excuse you can give to Nigerians like myself that, look, I voted 3 billion naira for this and there's nothing is coming forward. Who are you going to give? If you are the governor, you the president, you are giving an excuse. No, then I think there's confusion in the system.
I wish that I had the opportunity to go see President Goodluck Jonathan to ask him how easy it was to separate goat from yam and plantain. Probably you will not be thinking the way you are thinking.
Okay, let me let them be on their side. Let's talk about the drug issue.
Yes. Souq, I was even going to come to you before you land. I remember, I'm not sure whether you saw this viral video of a man who lost his wife during pregnancy and all that because he could not give a certain amount. And it sparked a lot of reactions, and some people have said that sometimes these hospitals, they've been lenient enough to allow you, okay, they will treat the patient, they will do this, but when it comes to paying the bills, it becomes difficult, and they also run at a loss. What do you think?
Okay, now, for those of us here in Lagos, I'm not standing brief for anybody, but I'm talking out of experience. I'm not also trying to throw any form of advice for anybody. If you have a pregnant wife, register your wife in Lagos Hospital, a Lagos State Hospital. I will give you that advice for free. If you're close to anywhere on the island, then good and fine, go to the island maternities. If you have your child go to, what's it called? There's one children's hospital here on the island. Now,
The Massey Children's
yeah, go to Massey Children's Hospital. Now, I'm saying this because of this. We are not omnipotent. We are not omnipotent. At a point in time, it's possible that you will run short of cash, but they will still treat you.
For free?
Not for free. Your bills will be piling, but they won't stop the treatment.
They won't stop the treatment.
They will not stop the treatment. That I can tell you for free. And also, when it comes to drugs, let me also advise you. Everything is not about brand name. Don't make that mistake. That a known antibiotics or whatever drug is out there, everybody shouting is this drug. There's also that particular drug without brand name. So when you go to a pharmacy,
NAFDAC approved.
Yes. The same, it might be struck from the same company.
Same company.
Yes, a lot of times from the same company. Now, those are those ones you see in big jars that they count.
Okay.
I don't know if these are those ones you see in big jars that they count.
Count,
But most times, people, either you are not knowledgeable about it or you are looking for that brand name that they've told you about. So always look for, just sit down, ask the pharmacy, this is the drug I want. Don't give me a brand name. The person, they will know immediately, they will just laugh and tell you, okay, this is it. What is your prescription? They will take it and they will tell you the price. And you'll be shocked that it's most times 50% less than those brand names. In some cases, more than 70 or 80% less than those brand names. Sure. This is to you for free. Now, this particular thing Trump did, the big farmers in the US, they control a large chunk of that economy. And they make a whole lot of moves. Because they know that they control not just that economy, but across the world. Call any of their names. They are in every village in this place, maybe with the exception of China and some parts of India. And they make sure that somebody is paying for that research. And unfortunately for those in the US, you are the first guinea pig. So they collect that money from you. So most times you see it's profit all the way for them. And they've seen somebody who is saying, no, these people are capitalists to the T. And they've seen a Trump that have said no. Right from his first term, he was not at peace with them. And they know. They knew that was going to happen. That was why he made his Secretary of Health a person that was also on the other side of the divide. And they will achieve much. Now, this connects with what we were talking about before. If Trump is putting his people first and saying, Big Pharma, you've made a whole lot of money. What you sell in the US, you don't sell outside the US. Sell to us the same price you sell outside. Which will work for them because he knows his profit. If our own president is saying, let's buy made in Nigeria, good and fine. What happens to our traditional medicine? It was there before everything came. 99% of these particular medicines that we are buying, the orthodox medicines, are components taken off and compiled in chemical form and given to us. So what happens to us developing that particular sector? Yes, they are working hard on it with the Nigerian Natural Medicine Development Agency, but we need more. That we know that for a lot of these issues, we have a place to go to sort them out. Even if it might not be enough for 200 million people, but at least let's start from somewhere. There will have a population of over 250 million people. Imagine what it will be or what it will look like if we patronize the pharmaceutical companies here in Nigeria, the people making all manner of drugs here in Nigeria, good certified drugs here in Nigeria. That will go a long way. And the president has the power and the push to do it.
Thank you very much. I do wish we could actually borrow time, but we've actually run out of time and we really have to go. But it's a pleasure having all these gentlemen here discussing some of these policies and the way forward. Until next time, I am Olumide Sokoya.